This is Poppy. Poppy is a 6-year-old mare, and at a young age, she landed in a kill pen. But fortunately for her, she was adopted by a lovely human who wants to help her live her best life. The challenge is that Poppy has a lot of anxiety related to her past experiences, and she tends to avoid things. So she's with me for a short time, and we're working on getting her to try new things, to be a little bit more trusting, calm, and relaxed, and to soften, to cooperate, mostly so that her person can just take care of her in the day to day. But this can also include riding, which she's not done very much riding, and we will get to that. But first, we're using the tarp as an opportunity to get her to try something new rather than her habitual response of avoiding it. When I first approached the tarp, I just walked in front of her and invited her to follow me over, and she stopped. So I'm going to hold this space in front of the tarp, and I'm adding some gentle touch and de bono moves, which are very small movements within her body. So, for instance, I might just take a hand and create a small movement through her skeleton. Here, I'm moving the soft tissue over her rib cage, but also getting a little bit of movement of the rib cage itself. So moving the ribs a little bit in relationship to her shoulders, her legs. So as we use these very gentle, small movements, this can help her to let go of bracing or tension she's holding in her body. Now, a lot of times when I do these movements with Poppy, she is pretty braced, and this is a new thing for her. And like many horses that are just starting with this, she tends to walk off when I start creating these small movements. So I am just taking my time here and doing a little rocking through her body. And here it's a little bit difficult to see, but I'm actually creating a movement from her seat bone or her ischium, and I'm standing behind her. And so these little small movements, again, they're wonderful for helping to create more mobility through the body, and just soften and improve my connection with the horse. And so right now, because she doesn't want to go forward because of the tarp being there, having a much easier time keeping her still while I do the de bono moves. So I've created a situation where if she walks on, that's fine. And if she stands still, that's fine too. So I don't need a particular outcome from her, but I am going to set boundaries. So here my hand goes to the cheek, and I'm blocking her from turning to the left. The wall and the rope are blocking her from turning to the right. If she backs up, I'm going to back up with her. And I'm never, pushing her to go over the tarp. But she does that on her own when I set boundaries. So now again, I'm going to approach, not pushing her to go. I'm just not letting her avoid it. Now that she's standing still, I'm going to take advantage of the situation by doing some more de bono moves. And here I've got a hand on her scapula and one hand on her ribs. And I'm making some very tiny movements of the shoulder blade in relation to the rib cage. And again, these are not forceful. I'm not doing any kind of chiropractic adjustment or anything of that nature. It's just a really very tiny and gentle small movements. Most horses really like this, although sometimes it takes a little while for them to realize that it feels good, and they may try to avoid it in the beginning, as Poppy tends to do. Again, she tends to walk away when I start doing the moves. But in this instance, while we work through the obstacle, I am keeping her in front of the obstacle, not allowing her to go to the left or the right. And so that when she walks forward, yay, we have made it over the obstacle. Now we're coming from the other direction, and here the wind starts to blow. The tarp comes up, blows up, and it is a little scarier than it was a minute ago. But I'm doing the same thing as before, and I'm keeping Poppy in front of the tarp. I'm taking advantage of this moment where she's standing still to do some gentle de bono moves. Here I've got a hand on her neck. Poppy often braces in her neck and shoulder. The opposite of bracing is mobilizing. And if we can create very small movements in the joints throughout the body, we can help shift the response of bracing and tightening the muscles to one of letting go of that tension, of softening. So not only does this change what's going on in the horse's body, it also can have an effect on the nervous system. Here again, I've stayed in position so that I could keep a hand at the cheek and set a boundary, so that turning in and avoiding the tarp is not an option. But I'm also not going to force her. I'm just going to keep her in that space. And within the space, I'm going to do all the things that I know how to do, including grounding in my body, maintaining a deep rhythmic breath. So all the things that I can do to influence her to be more calm, soft, relaxed, and present. So she's not just trying to get the heck out of Dodge. So can I make the space in front of the tarp inviting? Can I create a space there that she wants to be in? Poppy was getting pretty relaxed here and pretty tuned into what I was doing. But it was a windy day and the tarp blew again. I held my position, keeping my hand to the cheek, not letting her turn and go to the inside. So I'm just keeping her straight. Again, my arm is like a branch of the tree, and I want to keep the hand at the cheek so that I can get her to organize around that. I'm not pushing on her. I'm putting a loop back in the rope. I gave her a cookie just to kind of help make the space even a little bit more inviting. So I want to continue to send her signals through my body language that everything's fine, everything's safe, that we don't need to freak out because the tarp blew and made a noise. And I'm just going to go back now to using my grounding touch and maybe some gentle rhythmic movement to help her settle down. When I feel like she's calm and relaxed, I'm going to ask her to come forward again. And I've got the wand in my right hand so that my left hand can help keep her straight, and my right hand can reach around and encourage her to walk forward. Each time I get a forward response, I'm going to pause and go back to nothing. In this case, I'm going to take a moment, go back to rocking, give her a chance to just settle in this space before we ask for more. So after a few minutes of de bono moves, I decide to ask her again to go forward. And I'm using the wand to encourage her to take a step, giving a little push behind, keeping her straight, pausing after each forward response, even if it's just bringing the head forward and down. By focusing on the qualities of softness and relaxation, even working through avoidance can be a positive experience for our horses.